When the calendars showed 1919, Anatolia was not merely occupied land, it was exhausted, it was silent, and it was losing hope. The First World War had ended, but for the Turkish nation, the war was not yet over. The Armistice of Mondros had been signed, and Anatolia's gates had been opened to occupation forces. British warships anchored in the strait. French forces advanced southward. The Greek army landed in Izmir. Foreign flags waved in the streets of Istanbul. The palace was silent. The army had been disbanded. Weapons were being collected. A great empire that had ruled for centuries was about to be erased from history. Many people had lost hope, but one man had not yet lost it. As the Turkish nation searched for salvation amid worsening conditions after the First World War, a great leader emerged, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. By setting foot in Samsun, he opened the path to liberation. The Bandırma, a steamship, was not carrying just a few officers. It was carrying a nation's destiny. Advancing through turbulent waves, the ship's compass now pointed toward independence. On the deck of the ship stood a 38-year-old commander, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. He was tasked with inspecting troops in Anatolia, collecting weapons, and maintaining order. But his plan was very different. On the morning of May 19, 1919, when the shores of Samsun began to appear through the mist, a new era began for Anatolia. When Mustafa Kemal Pasha set foot in Samsun, he was not merely a commander. That day, the first step of a nation's rebirth from the ashes was taken. The people of Anatolia had carried the burden of war for years. There was poverty, there was occupation, there was despair. But that spark ignited in Samsun would soon spread across all of Anatolia, because now the struggle had begun. Mustafa Kemal moved from Samsun to Havza, then to Amasya, and that sentence, which would go down in history, echoed across all of Anatolia. The nation's independence will again be saved by the nation's determination and will. This was the declaration of the nation's will. In Erzurum, between stone walls, historic decisions were made. Within national borders, the homeland is a whole and cannot be divided. No mandate or protection would be accepted. In the Sivas Congress, all resistance movements in Anatolia were united under one roof. Now there was no scattered resistance. There was a nation united in one heart. Ankara became the center of the independence struggle. On April 23, 1920, the Turkish Grand National Assembly was opened. The nation would now determine its own destiny. While Mehmetçik fought on the front lines, the people of Anatolia did not fall behind in the struggle. Women transported ammunition to the front on carts. Children grew up in deprivation. This war was not fought only on the front lines. This was a nation's fight for existence. At İnönü, at Sakarya, at Dumlupınar. The Turkish army was writing one of history's greatest epics of resistance. During the Sakarya campaign, Mustafa Kemal Pasha's order echoed across all fronts. There is no line of defense, there is a surface of defense. That surface is the entire homeland. After months of struggle, the Great Offensive began. On the morning of August 26, 1922, the Turkish army launched its final great attack. And then that historic order was given. Armies, your first objective is the Mediterranean. Forward. When Turkish cavalry entered Izmir on September 9, 1922, it was not just a city that was liberated. The March for Independence that began in Samsun on May 19th was completed in victory. The red flag waving over Kadifakal proclaimed one truth to the whole world: the Turkish nation would not live in captivity. May 19th. It is not just a date, it is the day a nation stood up again. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk gave this day as a gift to the youth, because he knew that the power that would keep a nation alive forever is the faith in the hearts of the young. And years later, he would call out to the youth,
Ey Türk gençliği! Birinci vazifen, Türk istiklalini, Türk Cumhuriyeti'ni ilelemek, muhafaza ve müdafaa etmektir.
In every flag that waves today, in every national anthem, in every free breath, the spirit of May 19 continues to live. Because May 19 is not an end. It is the beginning of a nation's march that will last forever. Ataturk's words should be a guide for all of us. Seeing me does not necessarily mean seeing my face. If you understand and feel my ideas and my feelings, that is enough, he said. Understanding Ataturk is possible by knowing what he lived through and his ideas. For Ataturk, youth is not merely an age period. Youth is being open to innovation, breaking the chains of dogma, questioning, and showing the courage to achieve what is called impossible. Among the ruins of the old, the collapsing empire, the only power that can be the architect of the new, modern republic is the endless, curious, and faithful mind of the young. Because Ataturk believed that an intellectual revolution needed to be crowned with physical health. For him, sport was not merely a physical strength, it was discipline, determination, honest competition, and team spirit. If a country's youth are physically strong, mentally agile, and morally upright, that country stands firm. Ataturk, by entrusting sports to the youth, taught them to be free individuals of a modern and healthy society. Some days are days when a nation is reborn. May 19th is the beginning of the Turkish nation's rebirth. On May 19th, dawn broke, and that dawn will last forever.
Türk milleti çalışkandır. Türk milleti zekidir. Ne mutlu Türk'üm diyene.